Welcome to Melanated Rising, where we inspire, uplift, and ignite Black creatives, all while changing the narratives around Blackness. What does it mean to exist Black in this world today with our many intersections? That's exactly what we explore: the challenges, the beauty, and the brilliance. Every episode is a look at what is possible when Black creatives stand in our undeniable power. Hola, mis amigos. Welcome back to another episode of Melanated Rising. I know this episode is coming a little bit late, and I apologize for that. When I got back from Maryland last week, where I was spent April shooting, helping shoot the Available Wife film for Megamind Media, got back last week and was immediately slammed with a double whammy of health issues. So it took me out, but I am here and ready to get going with another episode for you. And in this episode, I want to talk to you about making an impact. And this is something that's important to me because it's part of my mission and part of my work with Black creatives to help them to really clear out the things that are in their way, change the narratives that they're stuck in, deal with the old oppressive bullshit that's still holding them back so that they can make an impact with their work. But what does that even mean? What does it mean to make an impact? People talk about different things. They talk about finding your passion or finding your purpose or what's your mission. And I think one place when you're looking at those things, less so passion, your passion is just what you're passionate about. Your passion is what you love. When it comes to your purpose or your mission, I think an important place to look is what's the impact you want to have? How do you want to affect people? How do you want to affect the world? And this is something that can have some blind spots. You can end up having some blind spots or some pitfalls that might actually lead you off course. And that's why I want to dive into it today. So when I think of impact, like I said, impact is the effect or the change that you want to create for a group of people or a community, or the change that you want to have on the world. And impact is something that honestly I didn't really think about until the last few years when I started coaching. Before that, I've had different businesses and done different things, and a lot of my work, when I think about businesses or work of the things I was pursuing, even in my creative work, it was about me in a way. To be honest, it was very me focused. I wanted to help people, or when I was teaching yoga, for example, or doing body work, and I wanted to help people. I wanted to help people explore and get more in tune with themselves and out of the bullshit that they're telling themselves, so that they could be more of who they are. Yes, I wanted to do that. But when I thought about myself pursuing that work and pursuing yoga, it was, I want to pursue something that I like, where I get to help people, but it was still really focused on, I want to, have flexibility. I want to be able to make my schedule. I want to have time to do my writing. I want to have time for X, Y, and Z other things, and that was really kind of a driving force behind my pursuing certain things. So there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with wanting to make money or wanting to have flexibility in your schedule. All of those things are perfectly fine. Those are things that I still want. But when it comes to the actual work that I'm doing between this podcast, my coaching, even my writing and the art that I create, that has a bigger mission than just, I want to have flexibility and financial stability and et cetera, et cetera. That has, for me, that is a more of a driving force in terms of the impact that I want to make on the world. I am very grounded in why I do this work and the impact that I want to have on people, on community, on the world at large. And that, to me, has created a much more solid foundation for pursuing the work that I'm doing. Because the things that are focused on me, I want to have flexibility in my schedule. I want to I want to have time to write. I want to not work for other people. You can do any number of things. For me, it's those are things that I want, but I can accomplish that in any number of ways. But why this? Why the work that I'm doing? And that's something for you to look at too. Why the work that you're doing? Why is this the work that that you're pursuing, when it's challenging, when it's driving you up the wall, when it feels like you suck at it, why is it that you are still pursuing this? And that impact is a driving force, and it's really powerful, especially as people of the Black diaspora. We are so powerful, and there's so much change that we can create in the world, and so much change with your art, with business, with whatever it is that you're pursuing, with any kind of endeavor that you have, with whatever your passion is, whatever your gifts are. There is such a change that we can create in the world when we fully step into those gifts. So, like I said, I used to not think about impact, but now when I think about the impact that I'm having, or the impact that I'm working to have in the world, it is, when I think big about it, like I think beyond me, I think even beyond the individual people that I will work with, beyond the individual people who will engage with my art. At the end of the day, what I'm doing right now is I am working towards a world that I will never see. And that to me is actually really powerful, because the work that I'm doing, the things that I'm pursuing right now, the ways that I'm trying to help people, the things that I'm trying to create, the social change and the systemic change, these are things that are going to help create a world that I'm not going to see, but my children will see, and their children will see, and their children, our children will see. And to me, that is such a bigger mission than anything I'm even trying to accomplish just in this lifetime. And that is really powerful for me. And it's really grounding, because not that there's anything wrong with having things that you want for yourself, but it takes it out of me. It makes it so much bigger than just me. And there's an importance there in looking at, well, it's not just the individual clients that I work with, or the people listen to my podcast, the changes that those people make, because I work with clients who want to make an impact. They want to clear their crap. They want to heal the Oreo complex, or whatever narratives they're holding that are harming them, that are continuing to oppress them. They want to heal those things and move that out of the way, and then really step big into what they're creating, because they want to make an impact. So in my work and helping people do that, I am helping them create an impact as well, and to help shape and change a world that is healthier and safer for Black people and for other marginalized groups. So the work has a ripple effect. And that's just for me. Like, I want to share a little bit about what's going on my end, and why impact is so important. Because I can see this ripple effect in the work that I do. The clients that I just put through my program, from Oreo to Empowered, I can see already the shift that they're making, and how they're engaging in the world, whether it's in their interpersonal relationships, the actual people that they're affecting, or the work that they're doing, the art that they're creating. I can see the shift that has happened in that work for them, and the shift that that's going to create in the world around them. And that continues to create this bigger ripple of change in the world around all of us and in society. So, and that's just the program. There's all kinds of different things I'm doing, but I think for all of us, it can really help us to get rooted in the impact that we want to make. But in doing that, there are a couple of things that are really important to take note of, to make sure that you're staying on track and you're really in alignment with the impact and the purpose, and not with your own internalized barriers. And I'll explain what I mean by that. So before we dive into that, two things that are really important to know is, why are you doing your work? Okay. And the impact that you want to make on others and the world. So again, outside of just yourself, it's good to know what you want for yourself, what impact you want to have in your life, what changes you want to have in your life, but where does it go beyond that? Now, the blind spots, these are blind spots that can come up when you are talking about your purpose, or your mission, or the impact that you want to create. And something that a lot of people don't want to admit to themselves is, they think of an impact that they want to have in the world, or they don't even really want to admit to themselves what that impact is, like what it is, how they want to affect change. They don't fully want to admit it to themselves, or they don't want to admit it to other people, because they doubt themselves. So this, take what I said, that I am right now, I mean, the impact that I'm making when I think about how big it can actually be, in essence, I'm working right now to create a world that I will never see. That's pretty big. Like that can feel intimidatingly big. Like, oh, how am I going to accomplish this? Can I even do this? And these are things that come up. So for you, if you're thinking about what's the impact that I want to have, and if there's like this nudging in you that you're like, I really want to have this kind of impact, but that's followed by a thought of like, oh, you'll never be able to do that, or you'll never be able to have that big of an impact on people, you'll never be able to like do that big of work, who do you think you are? All of those thoughts, these are all the negative things that actually pull us back from that impact and from our purpose. And they're rooted in a self-doubt, and they're rooted in an idea that you're not enough, and a fear around not being enough. So I'm going to get a little bit more into where that comes from, because these are things that happen for everyone, but there are particular nuances for Black people, particular things in terms of history and societal conditioning that play into these things that come up for us. So before I get there, when you're looking at, I'm talking about your blind spots here. So one is not fully admitting the impact that you really want to have because you're doubting yourself. The other thing is when you think about the impact that you want to have, if you have something that's in your mind, is to ask yourself, why do you really want to make an impact? Why do you really want to make that impact? Is it for others? Is it because you want to create a change for others, or create a change for community, or create a change for the world? Or is there an element in there that is about yourself? Like secretly about yourself. Now, the reason I bring this up is because what happens a lot of times is we want to help people, and that is awesome. But what can be underneath that is a sense of, I want to help people because then I'm useful. I want to help people because then I've proved myself worthy, because then I've proved myself enough. I want to help people because in some way it's going to reflect on me. And not that like helping people doesn't reflect on you, it does. But there is an element of it sometimes for people, and this has to do with the old garbage that we carry with us, that is really about healing something for yourself, looking for validation, looking for some kind of proof that you're worthy of love or affection or existing. And again, I'll get into where some of this comes from, in particular for Black people, but this is something to ask yourself. Is like, why do you really want to have an impact? All the pretty answers, all the reasons that you want to help other people, but then get really honest. Is there something underneath there that is about you looking for some kind of validation? Is there something in there that is about you looking to be useful? Because if you're not, then, what are you here for? Looking at those things. So another great question to ask, and as far as looking at your blind spot, is what does it say about me as a person if I don't end up making this impact? Like, what if I never accomplish it? What if I never achieve it? What if these things don't happen? These people aren't impacted. These changes don't happen in society. What does that say about me? And this is actually a really great place to explore, because we can internalize the output of what we do as meaning something about us. Okay, so for example, if I didn't achieve the impact that I wanted to make, I get to the end of my life, I could feel like, oh man, I didn't hit my potential. I am not as good a person as I thought I was, blah, 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 blah. And that actually means that my wanting to create an impact was in some ways about me, right? Because it was about me looking for some kind of validation of me as a human being, which is the thing I just talked about. Now, for me, when I think about the impact that I want to make, if I never make this impact, it doesn't happen. Let's say, for example, that, in a year, some accident happens and I die. Okay. And I never actually create this impact. It doesn't create the ripple effect through all the people that I could help, that I know I could help, that I'm working to help right now. That my stories don't get written, my screenplays don't get made because they never got written because I died. Does that actually change me as a person? Does that make me any less powerful, any less resilient? Does that make me um any less of who I am? Does that mean that my gifts were not my gifts because that impact was never made? No. See, there's a difference between I'm not trying, I'm not even pursuing, I'm not trying to make an impact, and then that's just a choice that I'm making. But that's one thing. It's different than, like that doesn't actually say anything about me though. Like not making the impact does not change who I am as a person. It does not mean that I am less worthy of love. It doesn't mean that I am less worthy of life. It doesn't mean that I'm less worthy of affection. We are all human. We are all worthy of these things. And I don't need, like, I want to create an impact because of the change. I believe in the change that I want to see. I believe in the world that I want to create. I believe in the strength and the power of Black people. So if I don't make that impact, then it sucks that that impact wasn't made, but that doesn't actually say anything about me as a person. So ask yourself that. Like if I never make the impact that I want to make, if this doesn't happen, if I do the work, if I try, if it doesn't happen, if I die, what does that actually say about me? Because if your answer is something other than, it doesn't say anything about me as a person, then you know that there's something there to actually explore and dig into and clear out, because it's clouding your impact and it's going to end up being an influence in the way you take action, because your action is not rooted in your actual mission. It's partially rooted in your mission and partially rooted in whatever it is you're seeking to say about yourself. So, where do some of these things come from? These blind spots, these seeking validation, the doubt, these things that I just talked about. For Black people, it comes from a lot of things for a lot of people, but for Black people, some of the key things where this can be rooted from historically and societally, which then trickles down into our family, our smaller circles, and ourselves, is that we were taught from history, from slavery, that we must be of use, that our value is in being of use to other people. Okay, so yes, it's good to make an impact. Yes, I love helping people who want to make an impact with their work, but make an impact because you want to make an impact, not because you feel like you need to be of use. And that's something that was literally the foundations of this country, was that we had to be of use. This country being the United States. You might not be in the United States, but I'm in the United States, so I speak from that place. So the country was founded on the use of Black people. And this country and actually other places often were founded on or were built on the use of Black people. And that trickles through society. It's not something that just ended when slavery ended. Which I just hate when people say that, because first of all, slavery is not actually over. Just look at the prison system, which is loaded with Black and brown people, Black and Latinx people in particular. So this teaching trickles through society. It actually impacts everyone's mindset, both white people and non-white people, Black people and non-Black people. We have it too. It's this trickle down effect, this idea that we have to be of use because that is how we have survived. Okay. The other thing, and not just we have to be of use, that is how we show our worth, but also there's this narrative that has been going for centuries that Black people are lazy, that we're less intelligent, we're less talented, and less worthy, that we are less in every way, less beautiful, less everything in every way. And because of this, it has led to not only a feeling, a sense often that we have to prove ourselves, like the old saying that you have to be twice as good to get half as much. And there is a feeling that gets rooted in us as Black people that we have to prove ourselves. But there is also realistic in life examples and situations where non-Black people are expecting us to work more to prove ourselves, because they have an indoctrinated idea that we are lazy or less intelligent or less talented. So they're expecting low standards, they're expecting low things from us, and they actually put us in a position to have to work harder to prove ourselves for them to actually see what we're capable of. Situations like that suck. honestly, that's why I typically don't work for like white people, and I typically don't like working for other people. That's why I have a business and I'm in coaching and in creative work, is that I have more control of those kinds of dynamics. Um, and not everybody has that option, and not everybody really wants that option. There are plenty of people who are living in like a corporate environment is a classic situation where these things happen. Okay, and there are plenty of Black people who are working in corporate environments and have to deal with this and love the work that they do. So this is not to say that you need to leave those environments, but be aware of the way those dynamics may impact your sense of how you have to show up in the world and the way you internalize that, because that may show up not just in those environments where people are kind of pushing that on you. It may show up in other situations where now you're feeling like you have to work extra hard to prove yourself, that you may not have to do that because people actually see you, because people see and appreciate your power and your beauty and what you bring to the table, you know. But like I said, there are real life situations where this gets pushed on us, and then there are also ways that we internalize it and assume that we have to do that, and then start pushing ourselves harder, and that becomes a driving force instead of the impact that we want to make, right? So both things, like I said, that we must be of use and that we're lazy, less intelligent, etc., and have to prove ourselves, both of these things get reinforced in our lives from various ways. Like I said, trickles down from the greater macrocosm of society. It comes through media, comes through the way you interact with people. It comes through your very personal relationships as well. Some of these things can be reinforced. It can even just come from being on social media, listening to the way people talk. My God, I swear sometimes I really just want to just leave social media entirely. Sometimes I just want to be like, you know what? I want to go into my hidey hole and be away from all of this ignorance. And I'm sure there are some of you out there who can understand that. So like I said, because we get these messages from a lot of different places, we internalize this, and then it influences how we do or how we don't take action. It influences how we pursue the impact, and it can even influence the impact that we want to have. Pursuing something, for example, if you feel like you have to prove yourself, you might be pursuing something or pursuing one, it could be a project, could be endeavor, could be a business, could be a career, could even just be like the way you want to impact. You could be pursuing something that's not really what you want to do. It may not even really be the impact that you want to have, but you're doing it because you have these internalized ideas that you haven't broken down, which is exactly why I do the work that I do. So when it comes to how do you make sure that you're not in these blind spots, I gave you a couple of questions earlier to ask yourself. Like I said, which are, like, why do you really want to make an impact? Like, why do you want to make an impact? Actually looking at that. Is it for other people? And then ask, is there something here that's for myself? And then also, something that really helps in this, honestly, is one of the very first exercises I do in all of my programs with my clients is getting to your deep down why. Like, why are you doing this work? Why are you doing this creative endeavor, this business, this career, this whatever it is that you're doing? Why are you doing this thing? And my process for taking people through that is asking a series of questions, but really get into that. When you ask yourself this question, like, why am I doing this work? That first answer that you get, write it out, speak it out, whatever it is, and then understand that that's your pretty answer. Like, that's the pretty answer that you give people when people ask, oh, why do you do this? Why are you passionate about this? Oh, I want to help people, or I want to blah, blah, blah. Like, that's your pretty answer. When you start getting deeper down into it, you start digging into, where did you learn these things from? What are your experiences that informed you on this path? What are the things that you've been through? These are all elements that inform your why you're pursuing this, and the impact that you want to have with it. All of those things are factors in it. It's not just surface level. Your impact, your purpose, your mission, these things come from deeper down in the experiences that you have had, the things that you know because you've been through it. So getting to your deep down why is an important part of making sure that you are actually on track towards what you want to do and the impact that you want to have with what you want to do versus maybe pursuing a different path or pursuing a path that is expected of you by other people, friends, family, community, but maybe isn't what you actually want to do. So, other things to look at: what is the impact beyond just you and the people that you help? Okay, so like I said, when I think about the impact that I want to have, it's not just the individuals that I have in my coaching programs or the people who interact with my art. It's the people that are going to be impacted by those people stepping into their work. I like to call myself a catalyzer because I am really good at igniting other people into and further into what it is that they are passionate about, what it is that they are creating in the world, the change that they are making. I'm very good at helping people do that. So in some ways, I am a catalyzer. I ignite other people. And for me, and this is just in my experience, for me, that means that those other people creating an impact as well, that's part of the ripple effect of the impact that I make. So what goes beyond me, what goes beyond the people that I help is the people that they help, the ways that they will change in their life that will influence the people around them, the things that will change in society because people's perspectives are opening up, because the way people are interacting are changing. These are all things that are part of the impact that I want to have, that I want to make on the world. So think about that for you. What goes beyond just you and the people, the specific people that you help or interact with? And then bouncing on top of that is what opens up for your people. So the people that you want to help, the people that you want to impact, what opens up for your people if that impact is actually made? If that impact is accomplished, what opens up for them? Now, for me, when I think about that, I think what opens up for Black people and Black creatives when the impact that I want to have is made is liberation, joy, and power. Their liberation, their joy, and their power all open up to them. And then bigger than that is liberation, joy, and power for Black people, for Black community, for Black diaspora, and for the world. That's big. So when you think about that, ask yourself, like, what opens up? What will change for people, for my people, when this impact is actually made? And then the last thing that I really want to impart on you when it comes to this, when it comes to impact, when it comes to your passion, when it comes to your gifts, is that saying, with power comes responsibility. A lot of times people use this phrase as a caution. You have a power, be cautious how you use it. And I actually want to, that's important, but I want to flip that. With power comes responsibility. Your gifts, your passions, your talents, that is a power for you. We as Black people are powerful. And with that power, you have a responsibility to use it. You have a responsibility to use your gifts, to use your talents, to use your power, to help, to expand, to change the narrative, to create change in the world, in other people, in your own life. You have a responsibility to do that. So use it. Use the responsibility that comes with your power because it's beautiful. And it is the kind of thing when more of us step into our power, when more of us step into our gifts and really pursue them and pursue them from a place of authenticity and from a place of really wanting to make an impact versus wanting some kind of validation or coming from these internalized ideas we have. When more people step into that power, then we get to really create change in this world. Change that leads to more equality and equity for not only Black people, but for all marginalized people. We get to create that change. And we, as a marginalized group, we have a responsibility to step up for ourselves and for other marginalized groups as well, to create that change, to come together and to do something with our power. You individually and us collectively. There's so much magic in that. So I hope this has been helpful for you, enlightening for you, powerful for you, because the idea of impact is something that I think is just so powerful. And honestly, when you get distracted or life gets in the way or you get off course, coming back to the impact that you want to have, the impact that you are working to make, can be a real grounding and vibrant force for you. You know, you got to think, it doesn't matter how much you love what you're doing. It doesn't mean that it's always going to be easy. I love writing. It doesn't mean it's always easy. Writing feels like a mess sometimes. I mean, a lot of things in creativity feel like a mess because it is. The creativity is the mess, you know? But the messiness is part of it. It's part of the birthing of it. It's part of the ignition of it. And it can be challenging. It can be difficult. It can feel like, oh my God, what am I doing? It can feel like I am not cut out for this. You might have people that are naysaying in your ear all day long. But when you know what your impact is that you want to make, when you know what your power is, what your superpowers are, when you know what your talents are and your gifts, and you are committed to bringing that into the world, none of those things will stop you. The challenges, the doubts, those moments of fear coming up, when everything feels like a mess, when you're rooted in the impact you want to make, those things are just part of the journey. And you get to come back to, this is what I'm here for. This is what I'm doing this for. And this impact is beyond just me and my life. It is beyond just my world. It is to help, you know, there's something bigger with what I'm doing. When you are grounded in that, it brings you back. It brings you back to the path, to moving forward with what it is that you are actually meant to do, what it is that you love to do, even when it's challenging. And that is something that is so powerful for us. So do these explorations, ask these questions of yourself. Feel free to go back and give it another listen and let me know what you think. I want to hear. Thank you so much for listening. If you enjoyed the show, make sure to share it out. Also, subscribe so that you get new episodes. And please rate and review on iTunes. It is the best way to help others find us and get this show out to more ears so that more people can be inspired and ignited into their own power and their own passion and their own brilliance. If you would like to help support this podcast, which I would super appreciate, I invite you to join my Patreon page at patreon.com/melanatedrising. This is also where you will find all the episodes and show notes, and also whenever I do Instagram lives, I will also put the recording live because they only stay up on Instagram for 24 hours. I will, as long as the recording isn't too long, I will be able to put them up on Patreon for my patrons only. So that is actually locked content. You have to be a patron, but you can help support this podcast with as little as $2 a month, and any little bit helps. It helps me to offset the costs of producing the podcast because I am a solo producer, and eventually I will actually be able to hire someone on to help me so that I can really bring more content to you guys and more of these episodes. We've got some great episodes coming up, some great guests that are coming up I'm so excited about, and I'm really pleased to be able to bring this to you and from this platform. So if you would like to support me, go ahead, head over to patreon.com/melanatedrising. Thank you so much for tuning in to this episode, and always remember to stand in your Black creative power.